my BBA in International Business and Information Systems.
Awesome. And Vasil?
Good morning, guy. I am Vasil. I use he, him pronouns. I graduated in 2021, so I'm a junior right now. I'm studying mathematics and computer science at Whitman College in Washington State.
The student body president, did I see that right?
Yep, I'm also student body president and an RA.
Cool. All right, so we now have some questions we'd like to ask, and then depending on time, we'll also take some other questions from advisors if they are submitting them in the chat. So yeah, our first question is, what do you like about life after GRS? If you can just raise your virtual hand to let us know if you want to speak. Yeah, Guthrie, go ahead.
So one of the great things about life after GRS is that if you are going to college, you are fairly well prepared for it. There's a lot of discussion in like freshman writing based classes where my freshman year I had read every single book in English, and I may or may not have turned in assignments that I had written before after I modified them. So there's a lot of ease to your college career if you want to take that route.
Does anyone else want to answer that question?
Alrighty, well, next, sort of on the flip side, what's hard about life after GRS? And perhaps what's one thing that you didn't feel prepared for?
Yeah, Vasil?
So I'm going to be honest, while the homework load in high school seems like a lot and is a lot, it's kind of incredible how much more you're able to do and how much more homework there is in college. Like the workload really does ramp up significantly. And I feel like that's kind of a shock to everybody that arrives as a first year student. Like, whoa, college is a lot of work. So just kind of mentally prepare for that if you're planning on going to college. So that was something that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Maya, go ahead.
I think because GRS is such a small community and we get to know each other very well, I was a little unprepared for how much more difficult it is to like make friends and peers in a much larger community or university.
Yeah, definitely. Guthrie?
One thing that I will say is after I graduated was right when COVID hit. And when I was in college, I continued taking classes full time, but I started working in the trades. And one thing I noticed is that Great River does a really, really poor job of preparing you for other options or sort of abilities in the workforce that aren't necessarily academic. There's not any like vocational training or programs that you can take advantage of. And I think for a lot of students, that is a really good thing to get exposure to and is very helpful in the long run. That is not present at Great River.
Yeah, Lucy?
I'll make this short and sweet, but I also have to agree with like everyone else and what they're saying, especially Vasil with the workload. I go to a school where we only take one class at a time. So we have very intense workloads for 3.5 weeks and then we have a break. And I wasn't really like, I feel like Great River didn't prepare me as well for that as I would have liked. But it's okay. I figured it out. I got really good time management skills. So that's all that matters.
What were some skills that were implemented at GRS when you attended that helped you when moving forward after graduating?
Maya?
Oh, I think time management and work ethic, especially because we have indie work at GRS, you're able to, or I mean, if you make good use of it, you can learn how to get a lot of work done in the free time that you have, because at least for me, I have a lot more free time in college than I did at GRS. So use your indie work.
Lucille?
Kind of on a similar note of kind of the agency and willpower to do your own sort of thing. I really, really liked the robotics program. I think that really, really helped me and provided a lot of opportunities that most high school students don't have to kind of pursue any sort of thing that you're interested in within reason. But there were very few barriers to of access to just kind of explore any sort of thing in engineering or mathematics or computer science that I wanted to. And that sort of option and agency to pursue whatever you want is really, really incredible and is, I think, very special and uncommon for a high school student to have. And I think if you can, take advantage of that.
Guthrie?
Something that I found to be very helpful was the sort of skill set and training in how to not necessarily complete assignments to the best of your work, but how to triage all of the assignments coming in, whereas this one needs to get done and it's going to be done, and then I'm going to move on to the next one, and understanding that being a perfectionist and the understanding that you can't really do that at Great River is very helpful, as well as I found that the amount of stress put on you at Great River is very good to prepare you for the rest of life in the IB program and how to manage your own emotions and to stay calm even when you have 3 papers due tomorrow and you haven't started any of them.
Lucy?
Similar to Vasile, I thought the bike shop program at GRS was very meaningful to me. It's something that I did both in 7th and 8th grade when I was there, and then it's something that I've continued to pursue in high school and also now in college at my school's bike shop. And it just opens a lot of opportunities for jobs and like internships and all kinds of fun extracurricular stuff.
Yeah.
Does anyone feel like CAS or key experiences helped influence them in any ways after graduating?
Guthrie?
So when I did CAS at Great River, I did service CAS, where I worked at a couple of local businesses, or volunteered rather at a couple local businesses in my area. And one of the ones I was at a used car dealership, and throughout college, I would buy, rebuild, and then sell cars. And the skill set that I developed in CAS, both helping other people learn how to work on cars and working on cars, as well as the business sense from that, was very helpful for me to help A, fund my education, and B, make poor choices with vehicles.
Okay. Are there any classes or activities that you've gotten to explore after GRS that you are currently exploring or have already that you wish you could have had at GRS? Guthrie?
I don't mean to be the only one talking here, but I worked in the trades all through college. Great River does a horrible job. Yes, there's bike shop and robotics, but they have no exposure to any vocational work, electricians, carpentry, woodworking. Like, sure, ceramics kind of counts, and art you can, but Randy won't let you weld in it. I tried and I asked and I got in trouble. But long story short, there's no exposure or options to working in non-college programs that I think needs to be emphasized more, and that Great River really pushes you towards college for better or worse.
We can come back to this question if you need a little more time to think about that.
For those of you who have now or have in the past had a roommate, what was it like having a roommate, and what advice would you give to people who are about to enter college and may have an experience with that?
Maya?
So I have two roommates and they're both random and I have not had a good experience with them at all. And it's kind of sucked, but it's helped me learn that you do not need to be best friends with your roommates and speak up if you have issues with them because you don't want to, you're living with these people, like you have no choice. So if you need to switch, if you need to talk to your RA, like make sure you do that because you don't want to get stuck with something that's not going to be working for your living situation.
Could you explain what an RA is to the people that don't know?
Oh, that's your like resident assistant. So for, I mean, I think it depends on each like university, but each dorm will have like a set of assistants that will, and there's usually like one or two per floor. Like I have two on my floor. So they are basically like, I don't know, like the boss of the floor a little bit. Like they live with you and they can like help you with any questions you have, help you with, you know, if you have any problems with your dorm, they do room checks, those kinds of things.
Thank you. Lucy?
Yeah, so I've had at least one roommate. My freshman year, I had two, same as Maya. And I personally had such incredible experiences with all of them, which is kind of rare. And I feel like Maya said, like you don't have to be best friends with your roommate, and there's kind of like a stigma going into it that you do. So just know that you like the separation, getting separation from them is good, and it can help for like a better living situation in a way. But also just like don't be afraid to speak up. Again, like Maya said, if something's going wrong, say it. Tell them, talk to the RA. Yeah, I don't know. It can be a gamble, but yeah.
Thank you. Vasil?
I feel like my roommate experience has been uniquely lucky. During my first year, I got put into a divided double. So I lived in a room with a roommate, but my room was separated by a door further in. So while I had my own personal space, kind of separate away, I also had a roommate that I was constantly talking to and with. So I kind of got best of both worlds, right? Living with somebody that you don't know, that I'm still really, really great friends with. I got to spend Christmas with his family first year, kind of really great friend of mine. And then so after that, I applied to be an RA, which was pretty unusual kind of for that fast timeline. And so I got to be an RA during my first semester of sophomore year, and I RA'd a section of 16 guys. So it was an all-male section. It was tough work, but it's, I think, also a really great experience because at least at Whitman College, and I think this is pretty common for other schools, RAs get free room and board, right? So I get a free meal plan and a free single, which is really, really nice. So that's something to keep in mind as you're going to college. If you kind of are interested in that sort of work, it's really good. It's really fulfilling. And then after that, I applied to be an RA in a house. We have these houses called interest houses. I think we've got at least 10 of them here. There's some language houses, but I live in the wellness house. It's kind of related to mental health, physical health, and overall wellness and well-being. And that's really nice because I have my own room in a house with a kitchen with a basement. And right now I'm living with 3 other housemates.
All right. Do you have any favorite classes in college so far that you've been able to attend, or are there any other classes that you would, or like for first years and freshmen in college, would you recommend certain classes as like a general baseline? Guthrie?
There's 2 classes I would recommend highly. The first one is for everybody, and that is personal finance. It's usually like a half a semester course or whatever, where they'll run you through. They teach you how to do taxes, which they didn't in high school, or how to balance a checkbook, and a lot about, at least they did at the Luther and then at Century College where I attended. But it was how to balance your checkbook, how to, grow money, how to invest in a 401k, and all of the money and information habits that is very helpful for planning a life. And the other class I'd recommend is how to build almost anything. It's just basically shop class plus like a bit of CAD, and it's a lot of fun, and you get to make a lot of things, and you can make a 6-foot long letter opener that might or may not be like Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy, but yeah.
Lucy?
I am a geology major, so I am biased, but I have to say, take a geology class. They are very fun. The field trips that they go on are like they allow you to get outside and see really cool spaces. And just like the environment of the course at my school, but also like my friends that have taken them at different schools, that are GRS alums say it's like the most like similar feeling you can get to GRS and like feelings you get on key experiences, and just like bonding with a small group of people. And I don't know. Yeah, it helps you like feel the feelings you got at GRS while you're in school and maybe experiencing something new that's scary.
Vasile?
Something I've noticed about how good a class is that it really depends on how incredible the professor is. And it's a little bit less about the subject. So talk to other upperclassmen students, right? Ask around which classes are good, who's interesting, what's a great professor. And it doesn't really matter what the subject is, as long as it's like an intro class. If the professor is incredible, you're going to have an incredible time. And if it's an interesting subject and it's kind of a shitty professor, you're just going to have a bad time, and you need to talk to people to figure out like who are the good professors. And often there will be multiple professors teaching the same course, and it's really helpful to kind of look up, online the professor reviews, or talk to other people like, which professor do I take for this class, if you have that flexibility in your schedule. And then I might be a little biased because I'm a computer science major, but I think with the way the current kind of world is headed, and with the kind of age of computing and AI, almost all fields of science are now using computation, at least somewhere. I'm sure geology is using computation, biology, chemistry, mathematics, all of those are using code, all of them. And it's really, really incredibly helpful to take an intro computer science class, because that just sets you up for success when it comes to kind of entering the workforce later on, because those skills are incredibly kind of in demand right now.
Awesome. So did any of you know when you were in high school what you wanted to study/focus on academically if you went into college afterwards?
And if not, how were you able to figure that out? Yeah, Guthrie?
So when I started college, I knew I wanted to do something that was at least active and not entirely boring and would be mentally challenging. And I didn't know where that was going to be. I started off doing mathematics and economics. COVID hit and they sent us all home, and I wasn't able to devote the time to both working and sustaining my life while also, 15 hours a week to a math class. But I would recommend at least asking yourself what you want from life, not necessarily what you want to do, but what you want out of it, like good job, good, healthcare, good, retirement age, and picking a career path or something that attains that, and then working backwards instead of forwards.
Super job.
Tell us something about your social life in college, or if you didn't go just after GRS. What was easier about making friends and what was hard? Was it easy to find people who had similar interests than you, and being involved with your community in general? Anything about that? Oh, and what are you involved in, if you are? Lucy, do you want to start us out?
Yeah. So I am not a super extroverted person when you first meet me. And that is something that I like instantly changed when I got to school. And I just like said yes to everything like the first week. And if someone was like, hey, that I didn't know, they were like, hey, do you want to get lunch? I was like, sure, let's do it. And I feel like that helps a lot with building friendships and like kind of finding your people. It is very scary. It is very intimidating. But it can help you like create a good support system during your first couple weeks or months at school. And I have like found more of my people within my major and my minor, as well as through, I work at my school's bike shop, and I am the manager of it now. So I have found like a nice group of people within that community, as well as the outdoor education community at my school. So I feel like just like really hone into what you're interested in and find those pockets of people at your school because they're there. You just might have to dig a little bit to find them.
Let's see.
I think something that's incredible about college is that there's a much wider variety of experiences and perspectives and backgrounds and identities. And something that you should kind of take opportunity of is to find other people with very different perspectives and identities than your own. And that's something I think that's hard to find at GRS, right? It's a little bit of a bubble. I think that's hard to combat as a high school, just kind of in an urban area. That's through no fault of Great River. But when you go to college, you're going to have a bunch of international students from all over the United States, from other countries, and try not to kind of find the bubble, but instead really reach out to it. I really, really enjoy kind of the friend group of international students. Like that variety of experiences and the conversations you get to have of varying perspectives is amazing. Something I liked about Great River is the seminars we had, and kind of that was the very beginning of having difficult conversations of varying perspectives. And that's something you get to do a lot in college. Like currently, I'm sure you're all aware of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Whitman College uniquely, at least compared to the other colleges around the Pacific Northwest, we have had a lot of student activism regarding that. We had a student group called Student Action Coalition, and they actually shut down our administrative building for 3 days and 2 nights. They camped out in it, right? So a lot of student involvement socially and politically around campus, and there were a lot of very opposing ideas, both kind of from all variety of perspectives. There's been a lot of talk about Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, and those conversations are really, really difficult to have, but it's really helpful to push yourself out of your comfort zone, prepare yourself to have those sorts of conversations and seek out varying perspectives and identities. And so I think that's something I've really, really loved about college and the social life here is the variety of perspectives.
There's 2 different
Guthrie?
things.
Yeah, something that I found after Great River was both that a lot of people and a lot of individuals our age don't necessarily have the same quality or caliber of skills when it comes to having discussions or talking about things, where Great River does a really good job of teaching you how to think critically and have different opinions and to combat each other's opinions, or it did for me because I didn't necessarily hold the same status quo as a lot of people did. But what I found is that in college or in my life that I would try and engage with people on as deep of a level as I would at Great River in discussion, and people would fold or not necessarily know, or I get a cool, and then the conversation and transition on. But the other thing I will say is that Great River kind of makes it hard for you to engage with people of different age brackets. Like, yeah, there's still people 2 years or older, but I have a lot of friends who are like in their 60s and 50s and 40s and 30s and so on down the line now, which is something that I only necessarily got because I was working in the trades or out in the world working a job during college. And I think it's a really unique, and I'm very blessed and grateful to have that ability, but it is something that I found difficult, was learning how to make friends with people who are significantly older than me or like twice my age, but it has been very important and very helpful.
Do any of y'all have any advice for work-life balance post-high school?
And shout out to Sophie's advisory.
Guthrie?
Don't pick a job that makes you work 70 hours a week of mandatory overtime. It's not worth it. The money's great. Your life sucks. You want to kill yourself at the end of the day every day, but you come back because you get paid a lot. I'd say like draw the cap at 40 hours. That's what I finally did at the end. Granted, working full time is more than a lot of people might necessarily want or have the ability to, especially if you have ambulatory issues or disabilities, but don't work more than 40 hours a week. And if you do, recognize that it's going to be very difficult to keep up with your classes.
Basile?
I think work-life balance, at least in my personal experience, is hard to come by because in college you want to do everything. Like there's so many things to do, so many opportunities, so many classes, so many clubs. And honestly, I think that is part of the college experience. You're going to overwhelm and overload yourself with a lot of stuff, and that's okay because you're young. You aren't really tied down by too many other things, hopefully, right? You likely have some responsibilities, but not in the same way you will have when you're 30 or 40 years old. So just kind of diving into things, and crashing and burning is okay. Like that's part of the experience. And I've noticed everybody do that. And I think it's important to just try as many things as you want. Like, yes, the most important thing I think while doing that is maintaining your physical and mental health, right? Consistent bedtimes, exercise, healthy nutrition, those will allow you to take hold of all the opportunities that are available, but don't hold yourself back for the sake of balance, at least this early on is my opinion. Try all those things and just take advantage of them.
Thank you. Lucy?
Yeah, I fully agree with Basile. It is very hard to get a nice work-life balance while you're in college, at least for me. Like as a STEM major on the block plan, I am in class from 9 to like 5 p.m. every day, and I don't have time to do much else, which sucks, but it's also like I'm in school and I'm learning about stuff that's really fascinating and really cool, and I'm very passionate about it. So it like part of the work-life balance, the work kind of becomes your life too. Like I don't know, you find like a nice in between, which helps it feel less like work and more fun and enjoyable. But also, like Basile said, it is very important to like make sure you have time to go exercise and like take care of yourself. Even when I had those insane classes, I would still like go to dance rehearsal for 2 hours a night, and I was fine. It was a lot, but it was good. And yeah, Basile said too in the Q&A to use Google Calendar. Super helpful, super good. Organize yourself, get a planner. Yeah, it helps.
Maya?
I definitely agree with all that. I think make sure you know how to take care of yourself, know how far you can go, but also don't limit yourself. Not every day has to look the same. It doesn't need to be a consistent schedule or anything. Like this is the time, like Vasile said, try everything that you can. And if you really love something and you doesn't seem to fit with the schedule or the, balance that you had in mind, you can find a way to make it work because this is the time to try it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to all the alums who joined us today. We're going to be ending off our meeting about now, but if anyone watching has any questions, let Lindsey, Lucas, Mahler, or I know, and if you're an alum, stick around for a quick screenshot picture.